Very, very warm welcome to all present here and also everyone online. I am Divya, and it's a great pleasure for me to welcome and introduce our guest of honor and speaker, Mrs. Latha M.T. Gupta. Latha is a Kriya Yogi from the tradition of Paramahansa Yogananda. She serves as the director of Ananda Yoga School of India. She has trained hundreds of yoga and meditation teachers around the world. She holds International Yoga Alliance's highest credentials, ERYT 500 and YSEP. She has taught yoga and meditation to teachers for over 3,000 hours. Latha also leads an active public life. She is the founder of OD Mantra, a boutique coaching and leadership development company. Her well-being workshops are very popular with corporate internationally. She's also a life and leadership coach, credentialed with International Coaching Federation with over 600 hours of coaching experience. She also volunteers for nonprofits and serves on the board of the international NGO, Enabling Leadership. She is active in professional body networks and director programs at International Coaching Federation. Pune chapter. She is a sought-after inspirational public speaker and mentors several professionals. Latha lives in Pune with a husband and a son and a daughter. She loves to travel and do pilgrimages. So people find her workshops practical, inspirational as she guides them with ease and depth. I now invite Latha to help us overcome the harmful negative emotions through pranayama.
Thank you, Divya, for that generous introduction. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this session today. And I think this couple of years in the pandemic has been a time that has been difficult for us in many, many ways. And we have a lot of emotions which are, I would say, unpleasant. Yeah, and there was a lot of grief that we experienced. There was helplessness. We saw people suffer. A lot of times we were not able to get closure on some of the things that were happening around us. And there's been a lot of uncertainty and change that we experienced. Up until now, we kept saying the world is VUCA, which is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. But I think now is the time when we're really experiencing that on a day-to-day basis, which has been difficult, to say the least. And there are two key themes under the workshop topic today. So we have about 35 minutes. And the way I plan to structure is give you a little bit of an overview of emotions, how to deal with them, then go into the topic of pranayama, and you walk away with 2 or 3 practices that you can do in the moment when you are experiencing difficulty. Yeah. So when we talk of emotions, it's important to recognize, A, that emotions can be both positive and negative. But the way our brain is wired, we tend to focus more on what is more difficult to overcome. And that's even the neuroscientists say that when they do research on people's brains and how they work, they find that positive emotions are a lot like Teflon. So if you make your sabji in a non-stick pan, you know how it is. It doesn't stick, right? So somebody tells you something great, you feel elated. They give you a compliment. They tell you your work is meaningful, or they appreciate the good friend you've been. It works for a moment, and then you forget about it, right? But if someone told you that you were not up to the mark, or let people come, that's okay. Yeah. Or if somebody said that you're falling short, or you really need to pick yourself up in terms of performance, or they judge you in some way that is different from how you wanted them to perceive you, you feel hurt and you hold on to it forever, right? That's just the nature of how our brain is wired. So one of the neuroscientists, Rick Hansen, whose work I follow a lot because he does a lot of work on resilience, he says that the brain is like a spotlight when it comes to negative things, and it's also like a vacuum cleaner. It just sucks it in and keeps it in there, right? So we need some cleansing mechanisms, and that is what will really help us to cope with these difficult times. Now, oftentimes, culturally, there are certain stereotypes. For example, men don't cry. Yeah, men don't express their softer emotions. So, and because we hear these narratives right from our childhood, we tend to, just toughen up a little bit more and a little bit more and form a crust around us. But it hurts inside. And it's not just about men, it's about women too. We tend to suppress what is uncomfortable. But what are emotions? If I were to ask you, what comes to mind when I say emotions? It's good to get some participation rather than just listen to my voice, which is quite monotonous. So, what comes to mind when you hear the word emotions? Expressing feelings that you feel inside. Yeah, nice. Others? Yeah, it has a front end and a back end, right? Thank you. Yeah, nice way of looking at it. Anybody else wanted to contribute? What are emotions, or what comes to your mind when you hear emotions? I'm sure you had something in mind. You chose to come from that hall here. Brilliant. Yes. Yeah, emotions are in many ways reactions, yeah, to certain things that we experience around us. And when we are able to respond, which means we are making a choice, right? We are taking that experience in and then saying, I'm making a conscious choice to act or, speak in a certain way or behave in a certain way, then that becomes a response, which is a considered process, which means you have processed it inside. Now, that's the missing piece. When we are in a heightened emotion state, which happens a lot of times because of difficulties that we experience, as well as trauma and things that don't go as per our plans, then, or there is pressure, there is overwhelm, there is expectation, then it happens that we have certain default responses. So we get triggered, right? We hear something and we behave in a pattern. It may be with a set of people. You might notice if I just asked you to reflect and think about a difficult person, I'm sure somebody pops up in everyone's mind, right? And with that person, then if you examine, introspect it a little bit, you find the pattern is repeating. Okay. Now, if you bring a spiritual angle to it, then you would say that what is the lesson I need to learn? Why am I going around like a dog chasing its tail, round and round in the same pattern with this person? That means that, and a lot of times it can feel like that, but the moment you decide to do something about it, which is more constructive, more positive, more elevating, then you're also able to uplift your consciousness. And when you uplift your consciousness, you're able to work out these problems. And that's really what we want to do with harmful emotions. Dr. Susan David is a well-known Harvard psychologist for her work on emotional agility. Yeah. And what I like about her work is typically with emotions, we get stuck. There is a stuckness that comes. And when we are stuck, then we are out of resources. And we just go into our default response, right? Which often tends to be unproductive and difficult. But the moment we decide to be agile with our emotions, which means we decide to do something which loosens up the tightness around it, then we are able to process it better. And she says, don't bottle and brood. But if you think back, that's what we do. So I'm going to tell you a little story. It's a Zen story, two monks in a jungle. They were going from one monastery to the other. This is deep, deep in the jungles where there's no transport and you walk on foot, you know how it is. And they come to a river that they have to cross. And by the riverside, there's a beautiful lady crying. Okay, she is totally overwhelmed and she's sobbing away. So one of the monks goes across and asks her what happened. And the other monk is kind of tugging his cloak and saying, you're not supposed to talk to women. And he says, no, let me ask her, why is she crying? She looks very troubled. And she said, my father is very sick. I have a medicine from the local doctor here on herbal medicine, which I need to get to him very quickly. But the boatman is not here, and I don't know how to swim. And the monk quite naturally said, "No worries, I'll take you across." He picked her up and put her on his shoulder, and he started to walk. And the other monk is saying, "You're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to do this." And he said, "It's all right, it's all right." He was feeling a little embarrassed. He took her across, just placed her there, and they started to walk. The moment the lady left, this younger monk started saying, "I'm going to tell you out in the monastery. This has to be reported. You're carrying women on your shoulder across the river." And he said, "Didn't you see the circumstances? Yeah, she was really troubled, and we were helping her, and that's also a higher dharma." And the man said, but you touched a woman." And he was very angry. Anyway, they went across, they reached the monastery, they had to share a room that night. In the middle of the night, this young monk taps the older monk, and he says, "I'm very upset. You violated the monastery rules, and you need to be punished for this." And this monk just looked at him, smiled, and said, "I left her at the riverbank. You're carrying her all along." Exactly. Now, what's the moral of the story? Negative emotions, we carry them all along. Something nice happens, he says, "Thank you, thank you." Did they really mean it? It's still judging, right? And when it comes to something difficult, we carry that burden on us all the time. And I think that's what we need to think. What are those things that you're carrying on your back, which is not serving you anymore? And what can you do to let go of those sub-identities which may be a little bit stuck, right? That's really the focus of dealing with difficult emotions. Emotions are data. They are ways of telling your brain that you may be in danger and you need to do something about it, right? The moment you have a conversation with your brain calms down. But oftentimes we miss the language and the tools to be able to have that conversation with our brain. And that's where pranayama comes in. Pranayama these days, in the Western world, is portraying it as breathing techniques, breath work, right? But these are ancient tools, and India's been home to them for thousands of years. And it's important for us to embrace these tools because that's really what can give us powerful mechanisms to be ourselves when we are facing tough situations. This is something that can help us be resilient. What is resilience? Resilience is the ability to bounce back from setbacks. And that's what we want to do in today's session. Okay. So coming to what is pranayama then, so I washed out the fact that it is breath work and breathing techniques. Pranayama in its true sense is working with your own energy. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that when you want to be calm, you should be offering the in-breath into the out-breath and form a cycle which neutralizes the turbulences in our hearts, which is the seat of emotions, and in our minds, right? And when we are able to neutralize this, we are able to master emotions. And that's all that you need to remind yourself when you're going through a challenging situation. If you just remembered to do that, life would be fabulous. You have the tools then, right? So pranayama is nothing but controlling the flow of energy in a way where we can get into our own calm center. That's what we're after, really, when it comes to a practice. Now, how many of you are practitioners of pranayama here? Okay, few of you, nice, yeah. And it's not like you need to know how to do it a whole lot. What I'm sharing today, this is a small 30-minute session. I'm giving you things that you can take and practice on an everyday basis. Yeah. So the first thing is to breathe well. Yeah. When we are stressed, then we do chest breathing, right? We don't do belly breathing. And on top of that, we want to appear slim, so we pull ourselves in, and it looks very cool that way. But yogis have a belly. That's because they relax there, right? And we need to be comfortable with that because then you're able to breathe much deeper. The other thing that happens when we find, and this is kind of, it goes in both ways, it's a vicious cycle. When your mind is agitated, how is your breath? Rapid, fast, irregular. How's the heart? Fast. How the palms? Sweaty. The body is ready to face danger from the hunter-gatherer times. They saw a tiger. They had to make up pretty quickly that whether you could run faster than the tiger or should you just hide, freeze, right? And the old man, always, ancient man always looked at, can I hunt it or will it hunt me? So fight or flight. And that is a part of our brain still, which we have at the back, at the base of the skull. And that's what is putting us into this fight and flight response. And what pranayama does is it's just a 6-inch movement from here to the prefrontal cortex, which is the executive center of the brain. And that is that place, that's what we really get paid for these days. Like carpenters and artisans got paid for working with their hands. Now in this age of technology, we get paid for working with our brains. So there's a vested interest beyond handling difficult situations to increase your capacity as a professional, to practice this and develop this part of the brain more. Now if you were to ask me, what's the number one technique? I would always say Kriya Yoga. Yeah, that's the highest pranayama. And that is a diksha, and that is a process that you go through, and you get Kriya Diksha at the end of almost an year's practice, because our nervous system has to be ready to take that kind of energy. Otherwise, you'll burn it up, right? So it's a slow process. You prepare and you get there. But right now, you don't have Kriya, let's say. What can you do in the moment? And let's look at 3 pranayamas that you can practice anytime, anywhere, and feel good about yourself. So first of all, I'm going to ask you to just stand up for a moment. You can come into the aisle and just warm ourselves up, okay? So I invite you to join your palms, namaste, right? And take a nice deep inhale, exhale. Inhale up, stretch, 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 1 more inch, exhale. Inhale and interlace. If you have delicate shoulders, just stay here. Otherwise, you can lift all the way up, and that will help open up the heart. Exhale. Okay. 2 more times, faster. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale up. Exhale. Inhale and interlace. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Exhale. Last time, little different. Inhale, exhale. Inhale up, exhale left. I'm going to mirror you. Come back to center. Inhale, stretch tall. Exhale to the other side. Come back to center as you inhale. Step your feet wide apart. Interlace. Okay, you can just watch me and then be gentle with your shoulders. Many of you might have tight shoulders. I don't want you to walk out with an injury. And as you exhale, just go down as much as you can. Okay? Just stay there with an exhale. So inhale, lengthen, exhale, go down. Keep breathing here for a couple of breaths. You can bring your forehead towards the ground. Don't need to touch it, but just bring it down. That also calms the brain. And slowly come out. And relax. Just stand still for a moment. You can close your eyes if you're comfortable. Otherwise, you can just diffuse the focus. Look at the wall in front of you. Connect with your feet. Feel rooted in the ground. Centered. Relax your knees and your calves, both legs. Now relax both your thighs. They're the biggest muscles in the body. Just let them relax. We tend to carry a lot of tensions behind in the hamstrings. Fear rests there. Just let it relax, let go. Make sure your knees are soft, not locked. And now relax your belly. And consciously relax your shoulders. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. Nice. And then relax your arms. No tension in the fingers. Just let the arms hang loose. Relax your throat. And relax your face. So a good way to do that is to bring a gentle smile to your face. All the muscles of the face relax then. I think the photographer should be in the front at this time. Relax your cheeks, your jaws. Relax your eyes and eyeballs. Behind closed eyes, uplift your gaze at the point between the eyebrows, the Agya Chakra. Just very softly, no tension there. As if you were gazing into a distance, but behind closed eyes. And consciously relax your brain. Imagine a bright light inside the brain, energizing you, soothing you. I'll leave you in silence for 30 seconds, just savoring this moment of relaxation. And now slowly bring your awareness back into the room, feeling your feet on the floor, listening to the sounds around you. And very gently, when you're ready, open your eyes and take your seat. How did that go for you? Were you able to relax? These are tools we have. Costs nothing. You need no skills. It's just an inner dialogue. Relax, relax, relax. All the muscles that are tense. You can just visualize space inside you and around you, and that's very relaxing too. So this is, two things we did. One was this inhaling stretching, which you can do again anytime, anywhere. It opens up the chest muscles. It's actually called the circle of joy. So it's basically like a circle, right? Going up, and then at the back. So that's a circle. You can imagine you're inhaling joy. I didn't want to complicate it too much for you, but you can visualize peace, joy, love, calmness, compassion, whatever you want, right? And take it in. It's a breath. So that's a technique in the moment. And the other one was what we call a standing relaxation practice. Tadasana, as it's called in asana tradition. Yeah. And that's basically just relaxing and calming the body. Typically in a yoga practice or a pranayama practice, you need a centering practice if you're doing a longer practice. And these are good tools to help you do that. Now, again, when you're experiencing difficult emotions, a good pranayama to practice is Brahmari. It's called the bumblebee breath. Yeah. And what it does is, of course, during COVID, Brahmari was becoming even more popular because it could improve your immunity against, respiratory illnesses. But it's a very well-researched practice. The Westerners are very scientific about it, so they need to, wire the brains of people and see what's lighting up and what's not lighting up, and are there any side effects, and are these yogis actually saying the right thing? And in the process, we've also started to look for a lot of data and research, but all of that is there. Brahmari, or the bumblebee sound, is a very soothing practice for the brain in times of stress. Okay? And you can practice it anytime, anywhere. All pranayama, a couple of things to remember. Nicely done, not on a full stomach. Okay? So at least a couple of hours after a meal. Nice to do in a place where you can open the windows. Today is not a great example, where there is fresh ventilation. That's nice to do. You take in more oxygen, you let go of more carbon dioxide. And some of them have a mudra. Mudra is nothing but a hand gesture which helps to guide the circuitry of energy. Okay? So usually if you're meditating, if you kept dhyan mudra, yeah, if you brought the thumb and the pointer finger together, it creates a certain circuitry which helps you concentrate and go into a meditation more easily. Or there's a prana mudra where these two fingers go. And this is great for pranayama. Kind of feel more power when you're doing it. So those are things that you can dabble with later on. But coming back to Brahmari. So I'm going to show you how to do that first, and then we'll do a few rounds together. Okay? So take a nice deep inhale. And as you exhale, you make a bumblebee sound. So this is the first step, and then we'll build the mudra into it. So let's do this again. And consciously, so I want you to sit, pranayama always nice to do in a meditative posture. So you're away from the back of the chair, the spine is nice and tall, your body is relaxed. You can place your arms at the junction of thigh and abdomen, okay? So that makes it a little bit more comfortable for you. Now I'm standing, ideally should be done sitting, but I want everybody to be able to see me. So let's do Brahmari together. Just take a nice deep inhale. Exhale with the B sound. Taper it off. Don't go to a point of breathlessness. Yeah. And it's important to have a nice full breath. So you actually be breathing from your belly, the rib cages, and the upper chest. And you're exhaling in the reverse order. That's basic to all pranayama. Okay. Now let's add a mudra to it. So I first wanted you to see the sound. Now, actually, when you practice, you have to do the same breath, but you can close the tragus of the ear, the flaps of the ear with your thumb, right? You can close the eyelids with your little finger. And you can nicely put these other 3 fingers at the forehead to give a nice stimulation to the Agya chakra. Your eyes are closed, okay? And then let's do Brahmari in this. Okay, there's nothing to see, so you can close your eyes, close your ears, take a nice deep inhale. Exhale with the bumblebee breath. Okay, now this time, when you do, focus on your heart. Just sending healing, calming vibrations to the heart. Okay? So focus on your heart as you do this today. Now, inhale. Now the next round, you do focusing on your brain, calming the brain, okay? And you can gently, behind closed lips, part your teeth for a more vibration there. Inhale. Exhale, Brahmari. And the third time, just spread it to the entire body. Nice deep inhale. Exhale, Brahmari. Do 2 more rounds at your own pace. I'm going to just leave you in silence. If your arms are tired, you can release them and just close your eyes. But otherwise, go 2 more rounds at your own pace. I'm going to go quiet so that you can experience the peace around it. And when you're done, just release your arms, continue to keep your eyes closed, and just take a moment to notice, do you see a little bit more quiet in the mind? Do you feel a little bit more relaxed? Just noticing that. And softly open your eyes. So Brahmari is a very helpful pranayama. Now here is the thing. You may be at work in a meeting and you can't do all these gestures and postures, right? If you find an open space where you can go and practice, that's good. But what do you do when you can't, right? So here's another tool. And this one is called box breathing in the Western world. And we call it like a full yogic breath, right? So you inhale to a certain count. I would say in the beginning, because our lung capacity needs to be built over a period of time, we need to build our stamina. So inhale to a count of 6, hold your breath in to a count of 6, exhale to a count of 6, hold the breath out before your next inhale to a count of 6. Okay, so that's the box, right? And it's equal. It's a square, not a rectangle, because you want to keep the rhythm of the brain going in a calming direction. Now, what does box breathing or full yogic breath do for you? It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our brain's relaxation response. And when that is activated, the brain and the body gets a message that I can calm down now. Everything's going to be all right, right? And that's what we want to do. And as you do this, and like we were discussing in the beginning, yeah, you don't react then. If you just took time to do 3 rounds of box breathing, you've created a little bit of a space between what triggered you and how you respond to it rather than go into your default reaction mode, right? So let's do this. Choose a count that's comfortable for you. If there are long-time practitioners with a bigger breath capacity, I would say even go and do 12, 12, 12, 12. But if you're a beginner, 6 is good enough. It still gives you very good results, right? Anyone with cardiovascular conditions, hypertension, expecting mothers should not hold the breath for too long, okay? So just keep it short. So you can go with the rhythm of 4, 4, 4, 4. So it's very flexible. That's the nice thing about pranayama. Each one can choose and adapt to what works for them. So inhale, I'll count for you. Hold your breath. Exhale. Stop the exhale, hold out the breath in. Don't breathe. Now again, inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold the breath out. Don't do anything here. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold the breath out. Inhale, last round. Hold. Exhale. Hold the breath out. Resume normal breath. Again, take a moment to notice how the mind calms down. Right now you're trying, there's an intellectual process of trying to learn the technique involved. But the moment you practice it more often and becomes natural to you, you integrate it, it becomes much easier. And that becomes the default response when you feel stress. What also happens is you're taking in more oxygen, you're dealing with the stress hormones in terms of, like a graphic equalizer is how the pranayama works. It turns down the stressful hormones and tries to give you a sense of security and safety. The emotions shift. And that's how you work with difficult emotions or, all of these, whether you feel anger, whether you feel jealousy. That's normal for human beings to feel, particularly when you're on social media. Or, feeling left out, isolated, lonely, feeling uncared for, feeling it's been unfair, life has been unfair on you, or you're going through a period of grief. These are things where you're trying to pick yourself up, and it can work. For the more serious things, they need attention. So this is not going to help someone who's way off the mark and needs help to come back, right? But for everybody else, these are little tools that you can take out whenever you need to. Okay? I'm going to close with a very brief 3-minute meditation. Again, a visualization practice, which you can do anytime, anywhere. So like all meditation, sit upright, away from the back of your chair. Make sure your feet are firmly on the floor. If you're wearing slippers, you can take them off and spread your toes out. Feel more grounded and connected. But do not sag back into the chair because then the spine is not tall. So I want you to sit on both your sit bones so that your spine is really tall. Okay. The chest is open when you place your palms facing upward at the junction of thigh and abdomen, like we see Divya here. Relax your shoulders. Pull the shoulder blades together so that the chest is open. Okay. And close your eyes. On the screen of your mind, visualize yourself at the shore of an ocean. Vast, expansive, beautiful, safe ocean beach. Sitting by the shore, and you can hear the roar of the ocean. The distant crashing of waves. And there are gentle wavelets touching your feet, as if soaking and washing away all your tensions, giving you a coolness and a relaxation. Soak into that relaxation. You hear the seagulls up in the air, chirping away. And the ocean roar slowly starts to feel like an om sound. You merge your breath into the ocean waves, inhaling as the wave comes in, expanding your belly, your chest and shoulders. Exhaling as the wave withdraws. Inhaling again, expanding belly, chest and shoulders. Exhaling. One more time. Inhaling as the wave comes in. Merging your breath with the wave. And exhaling as it recedes. You feel the vast ocean depths below you. As you sit in the sands of time, you feel the vastness of the ocean in front of you and the expansiveness of the sky above. Feeling one with the earth and the universe, merging each breath with the waves of the ocean. Feel a sense of peace in your heart as you mentally affirm, at the center of life's storms, I stand serene. At the center of life's storms, I stand serene. At the center of life's storms, I stand serene. Now slowly start to bring yourself back into the room from the ocean side. Feeling your body on the chair, feet on the floor. Tuning into the air con sounds now. And when you're ready, softly opening your eyes, let's gently rub our palms together, magnetizing them, and sending out waves of blessings into the world as we chant Om 3 times, sharing the blessings with the world. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. A joy to you all. And I think you need to quickly run now to go and join the main session. But here are a set of things to carry with you. Even this visualization, you can have your own version of it. And like Paramahansa Yogananda said, always remember, you carry a portable paradise inside of you. Joy.